Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. So today is just a fun little video for some Valentine inspiration. I recently did a video on this technique with watercolor and people really seem to enjoy it. So I thought it'd be really fun to show how to do this again really quick. I'm not going through all the techniques or anything, but you can see I'm just adding water down to watercolor paper and then throwing some watercolor Valentine's Day inspired colors on it there. And the idea is this is a fun little craft with your kids or for loved ones. Maybe you work at a senior's home and they'd be interested in doing this, or maybe you want to hand some out to seniors or your neighbors or whatever. This is just really a fun, quick little project that everybody can do. And as you can see, you make several all at once. They're not big cards. You could make big cards, of course, but this is just quick and easy little Valentine's Day idea. So I've got a piece of dollar store watercolor paper, and I try to keep this as cheap as possible. So this is a cheapy watercolor pad. I think I paid $4 for it, and it has about 20 sheets in it. And it's pretty good paper for what you pay for. It's great for projects like this. As you can see, I am using my Mei Liang watercolor paint set. But if you don't have watercolors, you can take a little dish and put some acrylic paint down and mix it with lots of water. And you basically have a type of watercolor that would react the same. As long as you're using an absorbent type paper, it will have the same effect or similar effect, depending on the type of paint you use. So the type of quality of paint is what I really mean to say. So again, just really having fun. With kids, this is a great project because it's inexpensive. You could also use inks if you have inks. I've shown in previous videos how I paint with ink right out of my little ink pads here. Use whatever you've got. So I'm just going to layer in different reds. I'm adding some red with a little bit of brown here to deepen the color a little bit. And I just keep dabbing. What's really fun is the way these colors kind of pull and push each other around the paper, especially where you pool an excess amount of water. People tend to panic when there's a puddle of water, but with watercolor, it can create some really beautiful effects if you have the patience to just leave it and let it dry and do its own thing. So here I'm just doing some splatters. The splattering is wet on wet, so most of the splatters will kind of dissolve, which is really another beautiful effect. You can also wait till the paper dries a little and splatter some more where the splatters will not dissolve into the background and sit on top. So just play here. I'm using a number 10 watercolor brush, but you can use whatever you've got. And I will link the other video where I go into a little bit more depth of how I do this. I also used washi tape to tape the little segments down. But if you don't have washi tape, because it can be a bit pricey, you can use masking tape. Depending on the quality of the masking tape, if it's really strong, you might want to stick it down on the table a few times and pull it up to remove some of that stickiness, just to avoid any ripping later. But even if it rips, it just adds to the charm. The one thing here I would recommend when you're painting is to bring the colors to the edges of the tape. That way, when you pull off the tape, you have these nice crisp lines around your artwork. So just a little tip there when you're filling in or when your kids are painting in these little sections to fill up the whole thing. So other tapes you could use painter's tape. I wouldn't recommend sellotape, or here we call it scotch tape. Just it's too sticky and it can damage the paper really badly, which we don't want to do. Or you could use no tape. You could have more of a rough edge and just pool the water wherever you put the water is where the paint will go, so you can control it. But I personally like the crisp edge. So here it is dried. You do have to wait for it to dry. Then I start peeling off the washi tape, and I like to keep the washi tape. I use it over and over again as much as possible before it becomes not sticky. And then I use glue to glue it down in journals, because the grunginess of the watercolor will stick on the tape once it's dry, and it kind of creates this really vintage looking tape. So I'm just going to pull these off. And as you can see, it reveals these really cute little, what I call thumbnails. And if you're patient enough and let those pools of water dry, you can see the effect. So the top middle one, with the purples and the reds, you can see there's a huge pool there. And the really soft effect it had when it dried, when you just leave it to dry. So I do love watercolor for this. I'm just going to pull the rest off here. And then I start cutting it up, and you can see you get quite a few out of one paper. These, like I said, they're not big cards. They're maybe 2 inches by 2.5 inches because I wanted to use up some index cards. I had a lot that I got from a thrift shop, and you'll see it here. I just take it and I just fold it in half. I put the lines on the inside of the card so I can write my message, and I fold it up. And now that this is what I used when I went to tape down my washi tape. I had folded the index card in half, and that way I could tell how big my thumbnails were going to be. So I knew that with a little bit of trimming, I can fit them on. There's another card there where I glued on some pink cardstock that I had just for something different. And I'm going to cut these up now, just a couple to get the ball rolling. And I'd like to take this bottom red one, I think is really pretty. So I'll probably end up using that one on the whiteboard. So super easy. And you can see how many you can get. So it's a great project for kids. And if you're lucky, you have, a repertoire of tools, maybe some stamps with words like I love you or and things like that. I am not a romantic person, so I don't have that in my repertoire. I think my husband would love for me to have that stuff, but I don't. I have a heart punch, and that's it. But if you have some lovely stamps, or if you have some punches, whatever you have in your little stickers, this is if you have little kids and you're doing this to little kids and you have little stickers from the dollar store that they can stick on right now, perfect. Like great little craft. So here I'm using my trusty stamp that I use pretty much every episode, and that is my illegible writing stamp. And I've got these 2 ink pads that I had picked up from the thrift shop a long time ago and rarely use because they're not the colors that I'm drawn to. So reds and dark browny reds are not something I'm always interested in using. But this one's quite pretty. It's got a bit of a red undertone to it, so I thought it would be fitting. I think it's called Barn by Barn Red, I think it's called, by Close to My Heart. And so now I just glue this, and then I suddenly realized I forgot to punch it. That's how I roll. So I'm just going to go ahead and punch it. I wouldn't recommend that. That is not good for your puncher. But that's the only romantic stamp I have. A little tiny heart. And then I wanted to try and get some ink inside that heart. I just want to pull that shape away from the background. So I just rub it in there. I'm not concerned about it getting messy. It's all about being crafty. And then I'm just going to glue that to that pink. So it kind of gives a 3-layered effect, which I quite like. And that's it. And then you can write your message inside. Now, like I said, if you have little words you can use, I've maybe put that on the front, or if you have letter stamps, you could put their name on the front if you know who this is going to. If your kids have 40 kids in their class like mine used to, and you have to do 40 of these, you can do them all together. I wouldn't bother with names, but yeah, they can put little messages in, and I think it's really charming. You can also glue a little chocolate to it, the back of it, with some, like, not glue it, but tape it on there, whatever the rules are for school these days. So here I am, I'm going to just scribble in a heart, because like I said, I don't have any stamps. And I'm just going to doodle, and I think, what else can I add? I'm going to put some X and O's in here. You could put little bows and arrows. You could do anything you want. And again, use whatever materials you have handy. So here I want to pull the heart out from the background a bit. And I am going to use my Posca pen. Now, Poscas are expensive, and you might not want your kids using these, or you might not have any, so you can use something like liquid paper. It's or you can just cut out a white heart and glue it on, whatever suits your fancy. And you're just crafting. That's what I love about these little projects. You're just crafting along. So I'm looking at it and I think I like that black ink, but I don't like that it's not anywhere else. So I try to rub this tiny little nib along the edge, and that is just not working because it's too small. So I give up on that, and then I just put it down and draw some black around the edges. And I just think that makes it a little bit more cohesive. It kind of includes that white border that we left when we painted as part of the design. And I'm always doing that. I try to, wherever I incorporate a new element, I try to place it around the whole image so that the image is cohesive and balanced. So I do the same thing with the red card, with the white card. I realize I want to add a little bit of red in there and incorporate that part to the front image. And then I'll just glue it together. This is that Reflections. I can't remember what it's called. It said right there. What did it say? It says wine. So a wine color red. Again, just from the thrift shop. I rarely buy new ink unless it's a very specific color I want. I don't like paying a lot of money, which is why I don't have a lot of, punches and stamps and things. I like to be forced to use what I have in different ways. So there's the other card, which is really cute. So then I remembered I have the little punch out, which I can also use. So I'm going to put some ink on that and glue it to another card. And there's the third card cover that's finished. I'm not going to bother with the index card because you get the point. But use whatever you've got. I'm just going to darken that a little bit. And it's already got glue on it, of course, because I glued it before I punched it. So there you go. That's simple. But you can see the prettiness of the flow of the watercolor behind. I just love it. It's such a fun way to experiment with watercolor. And you can turn them into any theme you like. So I thought this would be a cute little video. Great idea for kids, seniors, yourself, gifts. Punch a little hole and tie it to a tag. So there's some ideas for you. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you give me a thumbs up and drop a comment and let me know what you think. And I hope you enjoy it. Well, happy crafting, everyone. Goodbye.